Joseph with Engadget, and I have with me here the Acer Iconia Tab A200. We first saw this slate back at CES, and now it's here on the market, ready for your consumption. Bears the distinction of actually running Android Ice Cream Sandwich, the version being 4.0.3, although it did initially ship with Honeycomb, but the company made good on its promise, unlike a lot of other manufacturers, and did speedily get that upgrade out to the tablet. Another thing of note for this tab, and we'll show you that a little bit later, is that it does have a very light skin atop that Android 4.0.3. You'll see. They're very minor customizations, but they are there, but they don't get in the way, thankfully. So let's just start out and give you a little bit of a hardware tour and tell you about what's going on with this slate. So as you can see here, it is a 10.1-inch tablet, which is basically the standard nowadays, even though we've been seeing a lot of smaller 7 and 8-inch tablets hit the market, which seems to be the sweet spot, but some people still prefer to have their hands full with this larger entry. It is a 1280 by 800 TFT LCD display, so yes, you will be getting 720p resolution for video when you stream it or load it onto the slate, but you will notice that there's low poor pixel density on this, which is definitely on par considering this is a mid-range tablet, so that's nothing unusual. Other than that, let's just look around the tablet here a little bit. So you can see it's got this sort of titanium gray, it's sort of a metallic look to it on the back, and it's a hard plastic, and it feels exceptionally great in the hand. There's a little bit of texturing here. See if we can show you some of that. So it stays solid. You won't drop it. It won't slip out of your hands. That said, it is a little too thick. It comes in at just half an inch, which makes it a little bit beefier than most of the other rival tablets out in the market right now. Certainly, it can't hold a candle to the thinness achieved by the new iPad. Inside is a dual-core 1 GHz Tegra 2. Yes, Tegra 2, not Tegra 3, like we saw in the prototype A700. And it's also buffered by 1 GB of RAM. So that definitely helps performance out. Over here on this side, as you can see, there's a flat edge. If you hold it in landscape, you have flat edges on either side, whereas in portrait, which is much more comfortable to hold, the sides, I'll show you over here, I'll flip it over, they gently curve over, so it makes for a really nice fit in hand. But if you're holding it this way, which is typical, spin it around, you'll notice that it'll cut into your hand, and it's a less pleasing experience. But on this side, you can see nothing much except for here's your charging port. And one thing we will point out is that when you do connect the charger, it doesn't sort of lock into place. It seems sort of a flimsy connection, so keep that in mind. It might be easy to pull it out. And then up here on the top, you can better see it probably if we flip it over, is a volume rocker that Acer's gone ahead and put a little bit of detail on. Over here on this side are 2 raised dots, so you know when you want to lower the volume, and here is a singular dot. So you know which side will increase the volume. And next to it is a lock key that you can slide in and out of place, and that will keep your orientation, the accelerometer, in place. So that if you prefer to be browsing on the tablet in portrait, you can keep it there. Alright, and then over here the majority of the ports are on the left side, the left landscape side. And so you can see we have the power button. Next to it is the 3.5mm headphone jack, and then Acer's gone ahead and added the micro USB port next to a standard USB port. And then if we pop open this flap here, which is a little bit difficult to get, you'll have to have a bit of a nail on you. There is the slot for the micro SD card. No card comes comes preloaded with the tablet when you purchase it. But you can add your own to expand the storage. There are only 2 configurations that Acer's offering for the A200. The 8GB for $330, and there's the 16GB for $350. So as you can see, there's not much of a step up in price there to double your capacity. Alright, so let's look at the screen here. As we mentioned before, it's that 1280 by 800 display, which is average. But the thing, that's not what we wanted to focus on. As you can see, it is extremely reflective. Now here we have a special lighting, so we can film this review properly. But if you're indoors, even away from direct sunlight, even away from overhead lighting, you'll have a very difficult time focusing on the actual contents of the screen because of the glare. You'll either see the reflection of your background or some sort of associated ambient lighting bouncing off of the screen. So that's another thing to keep in mind if you're interested in this tablet. So let's just go ahead now and show you the customization that Acer's included. So immediately you'll be able to note, if you're familiar at all with Android Ice Cream Sandwich, is that these two concentric yellow rings down here are not typical of the menu bar. But when we tap them, it brings up this shortcut screen, where over here you can see on the right side are your recently visited bookmarks, and then over here is a volume slider. That's not responding to our touch at the moment. And then in the inner ring here, you can customize the shortcuts you add, and then you have the ability to tap that for search. One really great thing that's on here that comes in handy is the ability to do screenshots. It's very simple. You just tap this, and the screenshot is done for you. And you can see it's here added below. We can view it in the gallery. Okay, so that's one customization. Let's just turn the screen off real quickly. And now when we turn it on, you'll see that looks to be a typical ice cream sandwich lock screen. But when you pull it, you'll see you can drag it over here to go to unlock, or you can highlight different shortcuts. There's browser, that's the gallery. Here's Google Search, and there's Gmail. Again, you can go into your settings and swap these out as you choose. But that's just another slight differentiation in this version of Ice Cream Sandwich. Other than that, you have the same 5 home screens, which we'll just zip through, and you can tell that it's quick. But there's a little bit of this choppiness or stutter that rears its head from time to time, and it won't necessarily get in the way of your productivity, but it is noticeable. So let's go into the app drawer here, and you can see it's typical Android 4. And again, there's a significant amount of bloat that comes preloaded on here. Now we should mention that the tablet is Wi-Fi only. There's no 3G version or 4G LTE version of the A200, so you'll have to have a home connection, and at that you'll have to stay close to your router, because as we noticed, we moved a room away and our signal reception dropped to just 1 bar. So here you can see there's a whole slew of apps on here, and curiously, Acer's included Amazon's App Store, which is really just another route to Google's Play Market. Same selection of apps, you might get different deals on there, but it is definitely a redundant inclusion. Other than that, we can just go through it. You have Astro for File Manager, Amazon MP3, and Kindle. We've loaded Dropbox as well as Distro. But then you have a shortcut for Facebook. You have a solitaire game on here. There's Netflix that comes pre-installed. You have Social Jogger, which is Acer's social aggregation hub. SoundHound comes on here, and a few others. There's also, obviously, since this is a Tegra 2, the Tegra Zone store, and Zinio. There are a few others we should note that are not showing up here because we disabled them. Now that's another thing we'd like to sort of highlight, is that while you cannot uninstall the bloat that comes on here, such as Alpeo, which is a Berlin-based music service, and that app was originally here in the drawer, you can disable them, so they'll stop showing up. You just won't be able to completely remove them from the tablet. Now, let's go back to the home screen for a second and point out that up here, as you can see, is the 2 megapixel front-facing camera. Now you would expect that when we flip this around to the back, you'd see an accompanying camera, but no, there is none. So it's a bit of an oddity, but again, not many people use their Android tablets, or tablets in general, for photography. It's kind of unwieldy to hold, especially a 10-incher in your hand and frame photos outdoors. So we didn't really, mind so much the emission there. And another curious bit about the design is that the dual speakers here are set along the bottom edges. Now, when you're holding it typically in landscape mode, as you can see where our hands are lying, you're going to be covering up the speakers, and that is something that will definitely get in the way. So again, as we pointed out in the review, it becomes much easier to hold the tablet in portrait mode. So that's really all there is at this point, and that's really all there is to this tablet. There's not much, there's no real great extended features. It doesn't support a digitizer of any sort. So, if you're looking for, a mid-range slate and you don't want to shell out that much money and you don't mind going with a lesser known brand, then, the Acer Iconia Tab A200 might not be bad for you. But if you're willing to pony up $49 extra, you can go ahead and pick up a Galaxy Tab 10.1, which has the same internals pretty much. It's a dual core Tegra 2, it's got the 1 GB of RAM, 16 gigs of storage, also Wi-Fi only. The only thing there is you won't have Ice Cream Sandwich, but Samsung has recently promised that's coming shortly after the rollout to the Galaxy S2. So that's something to keep in mind, as well as a discounted iPad 2. So that's it. This is the Acer Iconia Tab A200. I'm Joseph with Engadget. Thanks for watching.